New York Attorney General Letitia James is releasing new details into her investigation into the Trump Organization. She claims there is, quote, significant evidence the former president's company misrepresented the value of its properties. The latest court filing is an effort to force Trump and his children to testify under oath. CBS News senior investigative correspondent Catherine Herridge has the latest.
New York Attorney General Letitia James alleges the Trump Organization repeatedly engaged in fraudulent and misleading practices to secure loans, tax benefits, and insurance coverage. James alleges Ivanka Trump had the option to buy a luxury Park Avenue apartment valued at over $20 million for just $8.5 million, less than half the price. The Trump Organization is also accused of inflating prices, including tripling the actual size of Mr. Trump's penthouse from nearly 11,000 to 30,000 square feet, which added about $200 million to the valuation.
I love loans. I love other people's money.
Today, Trump's attorney told CBS News the investigation is purely for political reasons and a trap intended to pave the way for possible criminal charges. And new legal pressure from the House committee investigating January 6th, now targeting his close legal associates.
I know crimes. I can smell them.
Investigators want documents and testimony from Rudy Giuliani and other lawyers who appeared at this memorable news conference days after the election.
We cannot allow these crooks, because that's what they are, to steal an election from the American people. They elected Donald Trump.
In response to reports congressional investigators may have obtained phone records of Eric Trump and his brother's fiancée, Kimberly Guilfoyle, Eric Trump tweeted, "The witch hunt continues. I have absolutely nothing to hide."
Catherine Herridge joins me now from Capitol Hill for more. Hi there, Catherine. So the Supreme Court on Wednesday rejected former President Trump's request to block the release of his White House records related to January 6th. I'm hoping you can tell us some more about that.
Well, Lana, this is really breaking news. There was an order from the Supreme Court really within the last hour, and what it means is that Trump has failed to block the release of his White House records from the committee investigating January 6th. And we're talking about 800 pages, including phone records, visitor logs, that really capture the communications and the contacts in the days leading up to and on the day of the violence. And these records would shed a lot of light onto the actions within the White House and the tone and the temperament of then President Trump himself.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, Catherine, congressional investigators have subpoenaed 4 Trump allies, including Rudy Giuliani. Do you know if these individuals plan to actually cooperate?
Well, it's a mixed picture. Some say they will provide limited cooperation. Others are just not responding to CBS on that issue. The committee wants to develop a couple of different points with these witnesses. They want to understand their claims of election fraud and what that was based on and who drove those claims. And they also want to understand what strategies they say Rudy Giuliani, the former New York City mayor and longtime advisor to President Trump, may have devised to either slow down the Electoral College certification or overturn the election results altogether. So they're trying to get a window into the legal advice then President Trump was getting in the days leading up to and on January 6th itself, Lana.
And at the same time that this is happening, the New York Attorney General's office has an investigation into the Trump Organization. And for the first time, Attorney General James made specific accusations against the company. What does this show about how far along the investigation is at this point? And what are the next steps? Might former President Trump and his children actually testify?
Well, the Attorney General's 115-page filing really starts to lay out the case that she's been able to build over about a 3-year period. And it goes into specific detail about what she says were efforts to overvalue assets or undervalue assets for tax reasons, as well as securing loans and insurance. She wants to get the testimony from the Trump children as well as the former president, and she's hoping this motion will compel them to comply with her subpoenas. So far, we've heard from Trump's lawyer who said if she wants him in front of the grand jury, he will do that as long as he's granted immunity. But They don't think that's going to happen. And they also alleged they think this investigation, which is civil, meaning they can't bring criminal charges, is really an effort to lay a trap for him to use any kind of testimony or records he provides as part of this separate criminal probe that's being run by the U.S. attorney in Manhattan.
Right. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office has this criminal probe into very similar accusations. So can you tell us more about how these two are happening simultaneously and if this new evidence might impact the criminal part of the investigation?
Well, what was clear from Trump's lawyer when he spoke to CBS News is that they believe that these are not two separate investigations, but almost working in tandem or in parallel to try and ultimately bring criminal charges against him. I think the most important point I'd want to make for folks at home is the complexity of the litigation that Trump and his family are facing continues to escalate between the New York Attorney General's civil case, so that's a case meaning they can't bring criminal charges, that ongoing criminal probe by the Manhattan District Attorney, and now this news late today that the Supreme Court has ordered that they will not stop the release of the White House records to the Select Committee. So this adds yet another layer to this litigation that they are facing.
All right. Catherine, thank you.
You're welcome.